As you guys probably know, we are big advocates of inline updates for our products and always looking for ways to improve them. Some of these improvements come from ourselves as we continue using the product, but a lot of the improvements come from you guys as you message us with various feedback or we see photos of how people have modified their gear. And our dump pouch is a product that we have updated many times. This is a product that I designed many years ago, and some of the early models looked pretty crude, but we now have something that's much more updated and modern. So looking at one of our older models, you will see that the attachment mechanism on the back side is this large Velcro loop and hook, basically section that you put over whatever type of belt you happen to be wearing, whether it's a two-piece competition style belt or a war belt style belt like our Orion. And there were a lot of people who gave us feedback that they didn't like this. They didn't like that there was hook exposed on the back side. So we made a little cover at one point on one of the later models. But a lot of people were not big fans of this attachment style. There was also an issue where if you didn't set this up properly, the pouch would actually sag downwards more and tip sort of the items you have inside. You know, they could kind of fall out. So it just wasn't super streamlined. Now, as far as being, quick to put onto a belt or remove from a belt if you want a dump pouch or don't want a dump pouch, this feature was kind of cool, but it posed a lot more issues than it gave advantages. We also have this TP21 mesh on the bottom instead of doing the grommets like on the old ones. So this still allows drainage, but on the new pouch, we decided to change things around quite a bit. We changed out the mesh to this Omega mesh. It's lighter weight, and it's also a little bit more color matched, and it's just a higher quality material. But the most important change of all is changing the entire attachment mechanism on the back. So now we have a traditional MOLLE interface, so you can put this on a cummerbund, on a plate carrier, a chest rig even if you really wanted to, or weave it directly onto your competition style belt with MOLLE on it, or your war belt with MOLLE on it. We do have slots, so you can run a 1.75 inch competition style belt through the belt slots, which is how I'm going to use one of these instead of using the MOLLE tabs. But you can always use these or tuck them out of the way after you've used the belt slide. The belt slide slots are also really nice if you're just wearing it on a regular belt. Maybe you're doing some long range drills and you just want a pouch to put some stuff in. You don't need to put on your entire pistol belt. These slots are going to keep this pouch very snug to the body, and it's just going to be there hanging out. A lot better than the original design. We still have a standard sort of roll-up design, so if you fold the material inside and then roll it up, there's a field of Velcro loop on the underside, which is where the interior flap is going to Velcro onto. And you'll see, very small, very slick. And we've also been able to lighten the pouch, so you really won't notice it when it's in its stowed configuration. Unlike the older model that had just a lot more material, heavier weight material. It was just, just adding more weight to you unnecessarily. But let's go ahead and mount this to a belt. We will start with a speed belt. So first things first, we're going to have to thread this on because I'm going to use the belt slots. So I'm going to remove my holster and the buckle so that I can thread the dump pouch on adequately. I'm retarded. So I'm actually going to fold this up to thread it on because I think that's going to make it a bit easier. So I got my belt slots right there. I stand corrected. Opening the pouch is better. So I'm just going to drag this to my dedicated spot, which is going to be right after my magazine carrier. And you can either chop the MOLLE tails off But if you plan on using this pouch on other equipment and you want to keep the MOLLE on there, which is probably a smart thing to do, I'm just going to tuck these up underneath the MOLLE. All right, so there we go. We've got it on the belt. So this guy back on. So now I can just kind of hang out there. When I'm not using it, it's not in the way. And then when I need to deploy it, pop the flap. And I can either shut it with the flap to prevent things from coming out, or I can tuck the flap on the inside. Now, as far as dimensions go on the new dump pouch, they have not changed from the previous versions. So you could still load this sucker up. I think it's 5 or 6 PMags. So those could all be loaded if you really wanted, but 6 empty PMags. You could chuck in your rangefinder, quarterback sleeve if I'm doing like long range stuff, my Kestrel, my notebook for my Kestrel, or for my quarterback sleeve, I should say. Pliers, because I'm tightening my scope mount with pliers, because that's what real OGs do. All that's hanging out, doing its thing. Or if you just need a makeshift med pouch, because maybe you've got a bunch of folks on the range, you're teaching a class or something, one of our ITRK expanded kits. And you could always throw in an extra tourniquet or two and have that. So now I have some medical equipment ready to go on standby if need be. But at the end of the day, it's a dump pouch. You put things in it, and you don't have to put your empty mags in there as you're unloading. You can just put drinks and whatever else you could think of. But let's talk about mounting this to a standard MOLLE belt using a T.REX Arms Orion. On the integrated MOLLE webbing that we have on here, we have stiffener material, which allows you to thread it onto your MOLLE and through these lasered slots a lot easier. Then what you're going to do when you're passed through all your different MOLLE, you're going to take these suckers and you're going to send them back up into the pouch where the slot is. Get them out of the way. All right, so that's the dump pouch on the Orion, a standard MOLLE belt, and you'll see that it sits very close to the belt itself. Deploy the pouch, put the flap in there, and it is very sturdy. Now there's one other feature on this product that makes it a little bit different than a lot of the other dump pouches out there, and that is these two little ears positioned here on the bottom. These are for weaving through a small leg strap, thigh strap, such as our mini thigh strap, which is shot cord with a buckle on it. There's also other aftermarket straps out there, just to keep this pouch more stable to the body, if that's something that you want, instead of having it flop all around if you do have a bunch of weight in there, such as some of the equipment that I showed, maybe a lot of magazines. That is an option that you can use. You could also tie in carabiners and other things down there if you wanted. But those are there for future use if you decide you want to try out a small little thigh strap. If you have any other questions about this dump pouch and its compatibility with other products on the market, go ahead and email us at team@trex-arms.com.